So we have a keynote speech coming up. Once again, Singapore's own. He is the CEO and founder of TransferWise. Please help me in giving a warm Singapore welcome to Taavet and Hinrikus, everybody. Thank you. Go. Thanks.
Hey, everyone. How are you doing? So first, let me reflect a few things on the Bitcoin debate. I think Bitcoin is fascinating, and engineer and nerd inside me gets really excited when I think about it. But the problem I see with Bitcoin is there's no problem in the world that Bitcoin solves problems and existing solutions. It's a great piece of technology, and I was surprised that the word blockchain wasn't mentioned even in the previous discussion. But it's technology looking for a solution. So I'm hopeful that somebody will find a solution for Bitcoin, but until that, I think there are many other ways of doing things that people want to do with Bitcoin, and for sure I know a better way to transfer money than doing it with Bitcoin. But so getting started with my little talk, did anybody come here today with a drone or a self-driving car? No? So it's 2014. And we're still stuck with Facebook, we're still stuck with WhatsApp. There's no real disruption happening in the world. It's been the past 15 years, and there's been a huge shift happen, and a lot of industries have changed from being very analog to completely digital. It's been a fantastic time for wealth creation and entrepreneurship. We've seen that telecommunication has changed throughout. We've seen that commerce has changed, the way we travel has changed, and so on. Many industries, one after other, have gone through a major shift. But also worth keeping in mind that it's not the first time that disruption is happening. And what really is disruption in an industry? It's when some of the major forces change in an order of magnitude way. For example, regulation changes, or it's pricing that changes, or it's consumer expectations that change in a major way. And when thinking back in the past, we can see that cars disrupted horses and transportation back in the early days, and that was a change in technology, and then it was a change in manufacturing process come about Ford, which really enabled cars to go mass market. Another another disruption we could think about is Walmart and the way they've disrupted retail, and that's really about logistics and economies of scale, which has made it very different. And hopefully we'll see someone next like Red Mart and going on and disrupting Walmart. And then we can think about how the microprocessor disrupted mainframe computers and changed how a vertically integrated market became horizontally integrated and completely flipped around the value chain. And more thinking about so other examples of things which have changed now in the past 15 years. And travel is probably something which is close to heart for everyone here in Singapore, and it really should be Air Asia on the picture, not EasyJet. But the way we travel has changed radically. Back in the days, we used to buy a ticket from a travel agent and pay a huge commission for it, and we had no visibility into who's selling and what's the real price and how much we're paying in fees. That's changed now by the introduction of online travel agents and also low-cost airlines like Air Asia and EasyJet and Ryanair. And also when travel, now we can stay in an Airbnb or Wimdu, and again that's disrupting hotels, and overall the way we travel has changed a lot. It's become much cheaper and much more transparent. Another industry which has gone through a radical disruption is music. 15 years ago, we would go to a high street physical store that was retailing music, and we'd pay $10 to buy a physical record. Now we're paying $10 a month, and we have access to all the music in the world. And that's Spotify and RDO, and I guess to give credit, we should really go and look back beyond that, and it was actually Apple and selling downloadable songs which got this disruption started. Then there is communication, and then something which is very close to my heart, and the industries that I know intimately well, as I was the first employee of Skype and part of the team that launched it. And back in the days, we would call an operator and ask for a long-distance call to be placed to Europe. Now, we're just going to use an application on our computer called Skype, and we'll make that call anywhere in the world completely for free. Completely changed the way we communicate and the cost of it. And it's not really about Skype, it's about WhatsApp, it's about Kik, it's about all the messaging products. There's much, much more happening, and Google Hangouts. But communication has flipped on its head and also changed the life of many people. I, for one, have lived on 3 continents, and I couldn't have lived without Skype. And I think what's maybe most fascinating about Skype is the fact that Skype is only a 10-year-old company, but last year, Skype owned 40% of international long-distance calling minutes. And now Skype is competing as equal with the companies that disrupt its AT&Ts and Vodafones of the world. Let me go in and share a few of the lessons that are staying with me forever, that were part of the 7 years that I spent building Skype. First and probably most important is team. The early team and the early culture in a company really defines so much of what you're able to do and how. And one bad apple can have a huge influence, and one right hire will radically change the course of your company. Second one is location. It used to be that you really have to be in Silicon Valley to build a tech startup, but that's absolutely not true anymore. You can be in Timbuktu, you can be in Singapore. We built Skype out of Estonia, an ex-Soviet country. We were building it on the outskirts of the town in old Soviet barracks, and that's where we built the world-changing company. You can do it from Singapore, you can do it from Bali. You have to keep your users in mind. We had a motto called delight the user, which we very much obeyed for the first few years of Skype. I don't think they're doing it so much anymore, but that's not mine to do anymore. And we're trying to do very much the same in TransferWise. We all regularly spend time with customer support to make sure we really know what's going on there. But I think the most important lesson from Skype is what's called the innovator's dilemma. And in the simplest form, it means that incumbents have a very hard time disrupting their own business. So if we think about the Skype example, when Skype launched, the telcos of the world were laughing about Skype. This will never work. Nobody wants this. But the reality of it was there was nothing the telcos could do, because anyone working in a telco, if they'd gone up and said, hey guys, we should start offering free calling, would have been shot on spot, because then they would have killed the company right away. And even now that we've seen so many industries go through a major disruption, it is surprising that incumbents have a very hard time figuring out what to do if a disruptive change happens in the industry. And that's what's powering all of these disruptions that I've been speaking about, and hopefully quite a few of the companies that you guys are starting in this room. So if we think about now, say, examples that I gave, what has changed for consumers? The consumer expectations have changed in a very big way over the past 15 years. And in travel and music and telecommunication and many other places, people are now really used to having much faster products. We don't want to wait in line, and we expect things to work faster. Much cheaper products. Often it's an order of magnitude difference at the prices, and much more transparent. We know what we're paying for. We're very used to comparison shopping. So cheaper, faster, and more transparent is what people are expecting in every industry as a consumer. And looking at the list of industries, I mentioned a few which have been disrupted. And then there's a bunch of others which are still in progress. But in the ones which have been disrupted, the industry has reached what I like to call the new normal. Companies have adjusted in the way they do business. The overall profit structure in the industry has changed. And now it's the incumbents and the disruptors who are oftentimes competing as equals. And the industry usually has shrunk in terms of money because the profit pools have been shuffled around. And that's happened in music and travel and e-commerce and so on. There's a bunch of industries which are still in progress. There is finance, and I'll speak a bit more about that. There's transportation in progress. It's a joke I made about self-driving cars. We all know Google is working on it, and even so, taxi law is great here. Why do we have to have all these uncles driving them around where they could drive themselves around? And then there's a couple more which are really at the beginning of the disruption: education and health. And this list by no means is an exhaustive list. So moving on quickly to finance. For some reason, finance has had a special place, and not so much has happened in finance when we think about disruption. And I think essentially that's due to two things. First of all is trust, and when dealing with people's money, you really have to be careful, and people have a special relationship with their money and to their bank. And the second one is regulation. You need a bit more than a typical two men and a dog kind of startup to go into finance, because you need to crack regulation, which is a necessary evil in the industry. And these two things have kept finance away from being disrupted, and that's why that's just starting now. But I think lucky for us as entrepreneurs, and lucky for us as consumers, bankers really screwed up trust on their own. Nobody had to help them, but they did it on their own with all the LIBOR rigging scams and all the other complicated products that nobody really needed. They screwed up trust on their own. And regulation is something which hasn't changed, but people have just become better at cracking regulation. And on the other side of the banking coin is the fact that consumer expectations have changed. Consumers are now going to banks and saying, we want cheaper, faster, transparent, and trust and regulation, which was protecting banks, is falling down. So we're getting to a point where it's a perfect storm starting in finance, and lots of finance will be rebuilt over the next 5 to 10 years. And I'm confident that the same way that we saw that Skype now owns 40% of long-distance calling, we'll see new companies own 40% of finance over the next 5 to 10 years. Some of the banks will get their act together, but some of the banks will go out of business. 40% will be new entrants. It's going to be companies like TransferWise and many other startups who will be really ace in some specific verticals. And it'll be the likes of Google and Facebook, so will most likely do something also in the field of finance. But the landscape will be turned around. Quickly, a few words also about my company, TransferWise. So we really built TransferWise out of personal frustration. I'm an expat. I was born in Estonia, and as I moved to London, I realized that every month that I go to the bank to make my money transfer, the bank is taking an arm and a leg, equivalent of highway robbery for moving my hard-earned money over from one country to another. And I met a friend who is now my co-founder, and we had the same problem in opposite ways, and we started doing it between the two of us. And we quickly realized that by doing it in a peer-to-peer fashion, we can do it much quicker and for a much lower cost. So based on that idea, we figured that we'll build TransferWise, as there are many other people who need the same. But essentially what we're doing, we're bringing the three same things that I spoke about to one very specific vertical of finance. We're building speed, we're bringing lower cost and transparency into money transfer. The three things that people have come to expect in every other industry, we're bringing to money transfer. We're enabling people and companies to transfer money across the world for a very low cost, very quickly, and online, very easy to, in a very easy to use way. Right now, we're open in Europe, but we'll soon be coming to other parts of the world, including Singapore. We've been live now for about 3 years, and in that time, we've transferred £1 billion worth of customers' money. That's more than 2 billion Sing dollars. That's a pretty good start for a very, very young company. And we're backed by Peter Thiel, who was the first investor in Facebook and founder of PayPal. Going into my key lesson about building TransferWise and what it means to disrupt in financial services, it's about trust. I mentioned it before, but that's the things that was probably hardest for me to learn, to figure out how do you build trust. The day we launched, the company was 2 minutes old. Lucky customer who stumbled on the website and transferred. Hope this one is better. So the day we launched, we had one lucky customer who stumbled on the website and transferred £2,000. I still don't know why that guy decided to trust us. Today we have many tens of thousands of people coming to the website every day, and lots of these people don't trust us because they look at it. It's a company. It's an online. It's a website. You know, why should I trust them with 2,000 or 20,000 or €500,000 of my money? That's the hardest thing to build. And for building trust, I think you have to go about it in a number of different ways. And there's no silver bullet. You have lots of lead bullets, and you have to keep on firing them. And you have to keep on expecting that every day there are more people who will trust you now than there was yesterday, and thanks to that you can keep on growing. But you have to keep on manufacturing trust. And how do you manufacture trust? You do it by engaging in PR. We've had thousands of press mentions, and we're working very hard on that because press is a seemingly objective third party, and people trust what's written in press. You know, we know that it's not always the case, but people trust it, and PR is super important. The other thing is thinking about how do you build this on your website using all the trust-building visual elements. And then also looking at how can you engage your customers in building trust. TransferWise is growing largely due to word of mouth. Our customers talk to their friends about it. And that's probably the best way of trust. If your friend tells you, I use TransferWise to transfer my money, then you're most likely to not worry about trust anymore. But also you can do lots when it comes to consumer reviews and using these to promote more trust. And I know that for us it's going to be a challenge for the rest of times to keep on building more trust, to make sure that the last grandma who just got on the internet and found TransferWise will trust this to use it with her money. And that's really all. I think it's an exciting time to be an entrepreneur, and there's so much more disruption coming that all the entrepreneurs in here can really think about when building their companies. Thank you very much, and have a great day.